All right. Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for your patience, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for moving to tonight. It's Tuesday. The date is Tuesday, the 23rd of, I should have, 23rd of December, day before Christmas Eve. Other iPhones entered. Who's this one? Day before Christmas Eve. Hello, who's that who's just entered? Hello?
Dave, it's Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan. Good
I've
lad.
just joined on my phone, so it's come up as that.
Yeah, I'm just checking you're not an AI Zoom bomber.
No, not today.
Not today. Cool. Cool. Thanks, buddy. Right. Yeah, welcome everyone. We're here. We're at Christmas. Bloody hell. It was only June. We were saying we're nearly at Christmas, so it's flown by, hasn't it? It's flown by this year. It's been insane. It's been a good year. I've really, really enjoyed this year. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, hopefully Jen will be on her way down. Lucy is going to bed. She hasn't had a sleep tonight, so today. So all being well, Jen will be with us fairly soon. Yeah, this is a via donation event. If you wish to make a donation, please do. Description in the video below. Please consider making a donation if you're enjoying these videos, if you enjoy our content, if you find it helpful, please consider making a donation. Best one for us is PayPal, friends and family, or get in touch with us for the bank details. If you do it via PayPal and it's not friends and family, money goes to PayPal and disappears. Which might be fair enough since we're providing a service. But yeah, or yeah, buy me a coffee. That tends to take a percentage as well. All right. So yeah, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and all that stuff. We've still got a couple of places. A couple of people who were planning on coming to the retreat have told us that they can't make it. So we have a couple of places left on the retreat in Suffolk. It's looking good. It's going to be great. It's with Jenny and myself, 4 days in the most beautiful place. Very, it's, yeah, what the heck's it like? It looks like an old mill kind of thing, if you like an English old mill. And it's got an outdoor heated hot tub, wood powered hot tub. It's got sauna and stuff like that. We're quite close to the coast. So yeah, if you wish to come or you want more information, please get in touch. info@freedomthinking.co.uk. That is in February. Again, I'm going to have to wait for Jen for the dates because that's what I do. You think I'd know by now, wouldn't you? I could look it up, but I'm not going to. Tell you at the end. Tell you at the end when Jen comes. All right. Yeah, no, thank you for your patience. Yesterday was family Christmas meal at the pub. So it was a lovely night. And then I've had my works Christmas do at the same pub tonight and had a meal there. And I'm out there tomorrow night for a meal. So please give us donations because we're skint after all this eating. No, thank you all. And thank you to everybody who's donated this year. Greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. All right. There was something that I thought I would start with that I think maybe it's a bit self-indulgent because it's something I'm interested in. But I remember it being one of the most exciting things about coming across the principles and coming across understanding, getting a glimpse into understanding life. I was speaking to a lad this week, a beautiful fella, and this man is a Christian. And we've had a couple of calls now, and we had one in person, on Zoom, and he's flying. He's had some beautiful realizations, and he's said he's never felt happier in his entire life. So that's a really, really beautiful thing. And he was saying how, just bear with me one sec.
Bear with me. Sorry.
You right? And he was saying how he goes to church and he feels compelled to go to church. And he was asking me why do I speak about Jesus? How do I see Jesus? How is it that I personally see Jesus? And I was saying to him, in my mind, Jesus existed. He was a man. He was a man who brought information to the world through himself. He was a realized man, what people may call realized. He was a realized man, an enlightened man. And he asked me, he said, do you think he was the Son of God? And I said, no more than anybody else, in my opinion. That wouldn't make sense. And he was asking me why, what is it about Jesus that, that why do I quote him so much? And I thought it was a fair question, given that I'm not religious. He's religious, I'm not. And I said, it's quite difficult quite often for people to distinguish between spirituality and religion. And I remember I was telling him I went on some radio thing once who contacted me about what happened to me and why I changed, how I changed. It was meant about mental health and all that kind of stuff. And I was on the radio, and this man said, "Oh, you had a religious experience." I said, "No, I had a spiritual experience." He said, "But a religious experience is a spiritual experience." I said, "No, a religion is a man-made idea. That's a concept that comes from the mind of man. A spiritual experience comes before the formation of any thought. It's the experience of life before the formation of thought, which is really just getting in touch with who and what we actually are, which is really just discovering what life is, which is really just seeing beyond the ego, which is really just seeing that everything you thought you are, you're not." And so he was saying, "Well, I haven't had one of these experiences yet." And I said, "You don't need to, because everything I'm telling you and talking to you about, you already are anyway." We don't need to have these experiences in order to be spiritual. We are already spiritual. We're spiritual by virtue of existence. We're spiritual by virtue of being human, being alive. Spirit is the thing that lives the body. And he was asking me, he said, "Where did you get your information about Jesus?" I said, "Research, listening to things about Jesus and stuff that I'm not a reader. I'm one of the most unread human beings you'll ever come across, but I'll listen." And you've heard me quote it thousands of times, the Book of Thomas, to me, the most beautiful gospel. Like, it's raw, it's straight to the point, it's no farting around, it's harsh at times. So, for example, in the Book of Thomas, Jesus said, "People believe it's peace that I am bringing to the world." And he said, "It's not, it's dissent, it's war." Because he knew fine well that there would be so many people who fought against what he said that many people would actually die because of the information he was bringing into the world, going up against religions and saying, the God that you pray to is Satan and stuff like that. He knew fine well he was bringing into the world controversy. When people are saying, I'm afraid of God, why would you be afraid of God? He's asking, why would you be afraid of God? I'm afraid of no man but God. You still hear that to this day. Why would you be afraid of God? God is love, is it not? Why would you be afraid of love? What's this vengeful God he's asking about? What is this vengeful God? Love isn't revenge filled, or vengeance filled. Love wouldn't put you in a fiery hole for all eternity. He's saying that's not my God. Be careful who you're praying to, he was saying. He knew fine well that what he was bringing to this world was controversial. He was going up against massive establishments, very powerful establishments. And to this day, still is. But to me, Jesus spoke of freedom. Jesus spoke to what I found to be true in life. I mentioned this many, many times, but to hear the words when he's asked, where is this God's kingdom? He doesn't point to the future. Oh, it's coming. Don't you worry, it's coming. Don't you worry, God's watching you. He didn't say any of that. Oh, God's kingdom was in the past. He said the kingdom is within you. Oh, yeah,
Let's get tea.
Yeah, can you make me another?
Yeah, so you normally have one in it.
Yeah, no, I'll finish that one and make me another. Bring me another cup.
Down it.
Make me another cup. I'll have two.
Yeah, I'll throw that one.
Okay. Yeah, to me, Jesus was pointing straight back inside us in hope that we may spot something about ourselves. We may get a glimpse, we may start to notice something about ourselves. Because if this God's kingdom is within us, that means the Creator is within us, which means we're something pretty special, which means we're something pretty amazing. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or what you've done, it makes no odds. I'm not talking about the world of form, I'm not talking about the world of action. I'm talking about the fundamental, the precursor, the pre-existing, the eternal, that never goes anywhere. Nature of our being, always creating, never turns off. Never turns off. It's always creating. It's creating an experience that it then observes. It's creating and observing at the same time. I've said this before, but I explained to this man how I used to be in church, I used to be in the choir, and I used to believe in God. I said, but the problem with belief is it's not based in knowing. Belief could be put in the same box as wishful thinking. It could be put in the same box as anything else that could change. But there's a big difference between believing and knowing. I used to believe in God, and I'm really grateful now to know. I don't know much about it, but I know it's real, and I know it's love. And I know that the closer we are into the frequency of love, the closer we are to the nature of God. The closer we are to the nature of our true self, the closer we are to the nature of our soul, bearing in mind that when I say closer, I'm not talking about distance. I'm probably more akin talking to matching with in frequency and vibration, in level of consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And that knowing blew my heart wide open. And it changed my entire life. And I remember the joy that I lost when I started to not believe in God massively returned when I discovered it. It was real. The joy was just boundless. And that was the thing that set me free. I was saying to somebody yesterday, they were saying, oh, I went to see this CBT person, but I found out I knew more than them. I said, what do you mean you knew more than them? This individual really struggles. I said, why would you think you know more than them? What's that all about? He said, well, I know more about the principles and I know more about, that thought creates feeling and all this stuff. I said, oh, God. I said, oh, I don't. I said, that wasn't the thing, by the way, that, anything I've heard spoken about in the principles was never the thing that set me free. It wasn't that the realization that thought creates feeling or anything like that. It was the discovery. It was the discovery of this healing force called love. It was the awakening to love, which in exactly the same, another way you could phrase that would be, it was awakening to God within. It was the discovery of the Creator within me. And then the discovery of the Creator within everybody else who walks the earth. So as I've said many times, I stopped meeting strangers from that moment onwards. I stopped meeting strangers because I already knew who everybody was. The thing I didn't know was I didn't know what game they're playing, who they're pretending to be, what the little personalities showing up as. But in the discovery of my wholeness, I discovered the wholeness in everybody else as well. I've never met a broken person to this day. I've never met a wrong person to this day. I've come across characters I don't particularly take to. Few of them, but not one single broken one. Not one single unwhole human being. Not one. I've met human beings in varying degrees of lostness in their experiences, believing their experiences to be realities that they're encountering from outside of themselves. Or perhaps that experience has been experienced without the awareness of the divinity creating it, that they are. Yeah, certainly. Plenty of that. But just because they're unaware doesn't mean it's not true. Yeah, I believe Jesus was a man who spoke life. And the reason he spoke life is because he spoke spiritual. Life is spiritual. This very moment, right here, right now. He summarized that by saying, become a passerby, become a passerby. Understand you are seeing each moment for the very first and the very last time in the eternal now. Stay present. Notice life. Leave the past alone. None of this stuff I heard in church. And it was funny, the Book of Thomas was discovered 4 years after the bomb was dropped, in 3 places in the same year. After nearly 2,000 years of being buried. In the same year, 3 copies of it were found in different parts of the Middle East. Like it was time to come back. It was time for this earth to wake up. We've created the bomb. We've created the ultimate weapon of destruction. We can even tear space-time by splitting atoms, apparently. And that does nasty things to this universe. Four years later, this message shows up. I don't believe in that as a coincidence. Not 3 in 1 year. And one of the first copies that were found by 2 children who were sent out to find some kindling in Syria. And they were struggling to find kindling, but they ended up in this cave and they found this jar in this tomb. And they took these scrolls home and they gave them to the mum, and they have no idea to this day how many she burnt, set fire to them to start a fire. Split open a piece of wood and you will find me there. Turn over a stone and I am there. What we call God is in everything. It is what everything is. I remember my friend Ed listening to a talk on the Book of Thomas, and he was splitting wood at the time, and he just looked at me and he went, "Split open a piece of wood and I'm there," and he's holding an axe, grinning away to himself. Yeah. Everything you are experiencing, you see, you touch, you taste, you smell, you hear, is God. This is a singularity of life. This is a singularity of all things. It's the unified field in physics. This is why everything works. This is why nature isn't a massive jumble of randomness. It's coordinated and works so seamlessly with the seasons and with the coming of certain crops or certain food stuff emerges the life that would depend upon it. And it doesn't matter how much we seem to fuck around with this planet, nature seems to find its balance continuously. Well, it would do, wouldn't it? It's God. It's all God. It is us. It is our behavior. And it's all the nature that responds. Why is it the animals of Chernobyl are still living them a perfectly decent life? Why is it they're resistant to cancer? Why have they not got radiation poisoning? Does evolution really take millions of years? Or is it a quantum thing? Is it a God thing? Is it a now thing? It seems to be a now thing at the moment, looking at what's going on. But discovering you're a part of it, part of the perfection. Discovering that you, and I don't care who's listening, I don't care what your problem is, I don't care what you've done, you are part of the perfection of all things. Is the greatest discovery mankind can make at this present moment in time. But all we've uncovered is something we already are, something that's already up and running, something that was always here. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. And you find well that this conversation wouldn't be for everybody. It would be for a certain number of people who were ready to hear this kind of information and this kind of knowledge. And you find well, that's why there are people who don't remotely want to hear this conversation. They haven't got ears to hear. They're perfect exactly where they are. We're not better than them. They're not better than us. Everybody's perfect exactly where they are. Discovering that perfection. Discovering what takes you out of the experience of it. You, the creator, have the capacity to create the impression that you're not. You have the capacity to create depression, anxiety, worry, hatred, animosity, thought, the creative force. We're all ideas within the mind of the whole. And in that we're perfect. Who's living you? Well, me, I am. How many people around the world would say that? Probably close to 8 billion, apparently. So everybody is this I. I am. Who's that? It's like every single wave in the ocean going, oh, it's me. Really, it's just the ocean speaking. This is how I don't even like the word heal. Because heal would suggest that somehow we were torn, broken, hurt, cut. But that was all an illusion. That was a creation of our mind. That was a figment of our imagination. If it was a thought, it was never the truth. A lady said to me the other day, she said, we're all damaged though, aren't we, Dave? And I said, no. I got pretty straight with her at this point. She was talking about her son. She said, he's hurt, he's damaged, he's hurt, but we're all hurt though, aren't we, Dave? I said, no, we're not. No, that's false. She said, what do you mean that's false? I said, that's absolutely false. I said, that's an illusion. And I carried on speaking to her and she laughed and she said, yeah, all right, I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. No, you're right. I said, yeah, no, I said, I think that's a hangover from Catholicism, to be honest. That somehow this sinful body, this terrible thing we should all be ashamed of. We should always keep it clothed at all times. Don't let anybody see it. God forbid. I said, I think it's a hangover from Catholicism. That the human being is not good enough. It needs to be better. And the only way it can be better is by giving money to the church. No. Nobody's damaged. Nobody's broken. Lost? Yes. Lost. Lost in their own reality. Lost in their own creations. Well, thankfully, it's a quantum thing, so if you are lost, it doesn't take long to find your way back. It takes a moment. And it's called being here now. It's called being present. And when you're present, you discover there's this experience right here, right now. Right here, right now, there's an experience to be had, and you're having it. But the difference is, rather than living in the delusion of the thinking, the thought, the creations that we were experienced, we're suddenly starting to become aware of, wow, there is this thing called experience. And it's a reality. And when you clock onto it, you start to discover it is within you. Shit, this thing called experience, this thing called reality is within me. And suddenly the ego dies, disappears, because it's seen through, it's seen for what it is on some level. And an individual goes into this most blissful state, and they laugh, or they cry. They experience silence in their minds for the first time, as many people say. As this hidden thing becomes apparent to them. When you give birth to that which is within yourself, what you draw forth will save you. If you possess nothing within, that absence will destroy you. Book of Thomas. I've been on both sides of that coin. I've lived the destroyed life, the hard times, lived in hell. Done the drink, done the drugs, done the I'm not good enoughs, done the what ifs, done the prison. And then I've been on the other side of it when I gave birth to that which was already there. That's what the virgin birth was. It wasn't about Mary being not having sex. Sorry, anyone. The virgin birth is when you give birth to that which is within yourself. A new person is born. A person who never goes back to who they were. A person who lives with a higher state of awareness. A person who's more present, more loving, more compassionate, more forgiving. And that's all of us. When the belief that there is something to defend or protect ourselves from dies. So I was just talking a bit about why I speak a bit about Jesus.
A lot about
A lot.
you.
All about Jesus.
Why you sit on the fence about religion and things.
Yeah.
You don't have any opinions.
No.
Yeah.
Hate and knit like a monkey. Yeah, what you want to say?
So if you've just been talking since the beginning about Jesus. Did you say about seeing him in church the other day?
Yeah, he was sat 3 rows behind us in church.
But my sister was like sat, feeling really deeply connected and just like, oh, isn't this beautiful? It's my mum's carol concert. And Dave just whispers in her, Jesus is here. And she's like, I know, I can feel it. And he's like, no, it's 3 rows back. So she turned around and there's a guy that looked like Jesus. And that totally took her out the moment.
Oh, it was so funny for me.
And then Lucy's going, "Where's Jesus? Where's Jesus?"
Oh, it made me laugh. Looking as if. Anything you want to share?
About Jesus.
Anything. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Let's talk about Jesus. Or whatever you want. Or whatever anybody else wants.
Yeah, has anyone got questions or something they'd like? No, Colin, it'd be nice to actually make
Col.
it.
We've missed you, dude.
Oh, thank you. A couple of things, if I may.
You may.
The first one's a bit of an indulgence. I know you often quote the Gospel of Thomas, and I've read it, and you know when you get to the translations, they are beautiful, and it's three principles there and then. Are you aware of Mary Magdalene?
Yeah.
And what's your take on her?
As a human being, or the Gospel of.
Yeah, the Gospel. Have you read
No,
that?
I need to look into the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
Well, I know you said many a time you're not a big reader, but there are videos of her gospel, you know, basically with all the words in, and that's absolutely. I mean, basically, it turns out that religions, organized religions, all paint her as a sinner,
Prostitute, yeah.
prostitute, and she was far from it. You know, I've been learning recently that basically she's the female version of Jesus.
Hmm.
She was right up there off the scale of consciousness. And Jesus had a lot of followers and disciples, and they were mostly women. and she was like, the number one woman who preached his sermon. And I won't go too much into that, because it's a fascinating videos to watch on YouTube about Mary Magdalene. Absolutely fascinating. Anyway, so that was indulgence number one. Now, number two is a question that I've often wanted to ask, but I've always been a bit mindful of who's on the screen and who will see this on catch up. And that's people who are clearly enlightened, if you will, and yet they still practice religion. And in my head, I just can't reconcile that. I can't get my head around it. So, what would you two guys? What would be your take on that?
I've got a lot of friends within the Three Principles community who are hugely religious.
Yeah.
And most of them have said when they came to the principles, it deepened their faith in God. It made them sort of read between the lines and see what their religion was pointing to.
Mm.
But I think there are negative aspects to it within religion, but that's because religions are made up of people. But I think at the heart of a religion, it's about pointing to what the principles are pointing to. And I think it also is about community and friendship and helping thy neighbour and all of those things.
Which is
so
love,
I think
isn't it?
for a lot of people, it's more about, can I live what religion points to? And most people I know who have kind of woken up to the principles, the thing that really helps is just like seeing that every other person who's religious, even if it's a different religion, like they say, oh, they're looking to the same thing I'm looking to, and we're not different or separate. So it seems to help people. So I was never religious before coming across the principles. So I don't know how it would have impacted me personally if I'd had a religion and then I came to the principles. But from people I know, like, they are often incredibly loving, understanding, non-judgmental, open-hearted. So all the things that I think the beautiful aspects of religion. But yeah, I think it's not religion in itself that's a problem. There's people within religion, and it's like there's people within the medical practice who I think are incredible, working with people with mental health problems. They're just incredible people. And then there'll be the not so good people within that field, because like people are people. So I feel like it's in humanity that you're going to have people that are kind of seen something and woken up, and exude love, and then there's people that haven't woken up and they don't. So I kind of, because you often do make derogatory comments, but I think it's not really. I think there's been like a man woman taint on what religion points to. It's like, but the original teachings in most of them are full of like beauty, but then throughout time, people have like human beings have adapted it and changed it, and so I think the people that seem to come across the principles, I think they're seeing the heart of religion, like what religions point to, and living from that space. That's just my opinion. I don't know if
I
you know.
like that. I like that opinion. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. I don't think, it really matters, if somebody wants to, they've had spiritual. See, if I'd listened to Jesus's message and I'd had my experience, I'd probably have called myself a born again Christian. After I woke up, one of the first things I thought I'd better go and do is go and join the local monastery to try and understand deeper what I just experienced. So I'd have turned to the frameworks of spirituality that exist on this earth. For some reason, I don't really know why. I can't really remember, but I didn't do that. But I remember really, come on, what are you laughing at me as a monk?
That's why I was guessing why.
With a dirty habit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the monk bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, holy shit, yeah, no, I couldn't have done that. True. Thanks, Jim. That's probably exactly what it was. Yeah, but I'd have to give up what? No fucking way. But what am I trying to say? I don't think it matters. I have a lot of admiration for when we go to the Manjushri, the local Buddhist temple, and listen to the Buddhists. I love going to prayers for world peace on a Sunday at the Manjushri. I was going to sit there, do a meditation, listen to them talk about Buddha, and be in that space with those people and sing the hymns. I love doing it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy that. I also really enjoy church sometimes. Sometimes I really don't, but sometimes I really do. So like in the book of Thomas, like what Jesus said when he's asked, how do you best serve God? He says, just do that you enjoy, do that you love, do that brings fulfillment to your heart. And going to the Buddhist temple and singing and doing meditation, and I really enjoy that. I really, really enjoy that. I enjoy the messages. I always remember this one, what's the lady monk called? Nun. This one nun, she was Tibetan.
None.
Nun.
None.
You're racist. This, I get so much shit down here, you lot. How many northerners have we
You
got?
take the mick out of me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 northerners. Louise more northern than all of us. 6. There's no Rach is northern. In fact, you dare do that in front of all these people. There's no southerners here, love. What the hell was I just talking about? Oh yeah, this beautiful nun came on. I'll never forget it. She just told this story. She sat at the front and she told this story. Oh, I'll never forget her. It's the most poignant story. She said, I used to have a dog and I used to live in London. And me and the dog, we'd go to the park and we'd go and chase a stick. She said, and my dog would be so excited. I'd open up the door, she'd jump straight in. She'd sit on the back seat and I'd drive to the park and we'd throw this stick. She'd get all muddy and stuff. I'd open the door, she'd jump in, we'd go home, she'd have a lunch and whatever. She said, I loved spending time with dogs. She said, and then I got a new car. She told this story about getting this new car and how this new car was a lot nicer than her old car. And, she really kind of treasured this car. And all of a sudden she said, the dog couldn't get in the car until I put blankets down on the back seats because I had to keep the seats tidy. She had leather seats. I didn't want her scratching the seats.
Could have been real leather. Buddhist.
So it's her story.
I don't know.
And some Buddhists eat meat.
No?
Dalai Lama eats meat.
Yeah, they had to for health reasons.
Still eats meat.
I didn't think they did hurt
Some do.
any
You
living
remember
creature.
in Nepal that they wore different coloured robes depending on the diet. So
No, I don't remember.
I do.
No. You're right. You're right.
I'm right. And yeah, and she said, then one day, she said this dog decided it was going to go from the back seat into the front seat whilst I was driving. She wanted to sit next to me. So she jumped through and she said, and her claw scratched the centre bit between my seats, the leather centre between my seats. She said, and I looked at it and she said, I told my dog off. I was in such a bad mood with my dog. I didn't speak to her for the rest of the day. She was so mad. She scratched my brand new car leather upholstery. And I'll never forget this bit. She said, but then one day I looked at that scratch and she said, I realized one day my dog will be gone. And she said, I'll treasure that scratch. I'll cherish that scratch. She said, now why don't we start cherishing things now? And I'll never forget that message. Like, it was a very, I think it was a very poignant message at the time for me. I think it's a very, very poignant message for everyone. Yeah, and if it wasn't for organized religion, I'd never have got to have that message. That lady was a lady of bright light, a great light. So no, I don't think it really matters whether people are in the church or outside the church. Who is it who said there are people who are inside of the church who are
Sir Thomas.
yeah, who is it? No, but who is it? Somebody within. It's not actually Jesus who says it. It's a French Christian mystic, isn't it? Meister Eckhart. Was it Meister Eckhart? He's German, I think, wasn't he? He's Austrian or something. But he said there are people who are inside the church, but really they are outside of the church because they do not practice the love and light of Christ. Of God, is it? And then there are people who are outside the church who are really inside the church because they do practice the love and light of God. So I'm sure it's Christ, but it doesn't matter. Words in it.
I've been with Lucy.
You're an asshole tonight.
She's literally talked to me since 7 o'clock this morning. A couple of times in the car.
You're taking it out on me.
Yeah, you're not listening to me. So then I repeat what she said, but I know what she means. Like, I was almost completely switched off, but I was having conversation back with her, but she can tell the tone of my voice, whether I'm really like engaged in the conversation or not. But it's been constant.
That kid's spoken more words in 3 years than we've spoken to each other in 10 years, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's a chatterbox. Yeah. What do you think, Cole? What's your thoughts?
Well, I get when you're talking about Buddhism. I mean, we go to the is it Manjutsu? I can never remember.
The Manjushri is a specific temple in Ulverston in Cumbria.
Yeah, Kadampa. I always called it Kadampa Lumpa.
We go to the same one though.
We go to the same one.
We go to, and we just love it there. Well, me in particular, I love it there.
But to me,
hang on,
to me, in a sense, Buddha, very, very similar to Jesus. So I've got no issue with that whatsoever. But the thing that sticks in my craw is Catholicism. And they actually preached, well, it's got to be to billions of people, isn't it? That, you know, that if they don't behave themselves, they're going to go to hell or purgatory and all this stuff. So, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. If a person is enlightened, like the people on this screen, and then they choose to go to Catholic Church, that's none of my business. But I just can't wrap my head around it.
I think this is where, you know, one of the things that I feel like this conversation, it's not even this conversation, it's what people discover through this conversation. And it's their discovery of their own free will. Oh, nobody does this to me. I do this to me. I create all my suffering, I create all my misery, I create all my anxiety, I create all my depression, I create all my experience. I create all my joy, all my love, all my happiness. I create it all. So they start to realize, oh, there is this thing called free will, and therefore, if I'm creating it, I must be it. And I feel like one of the things that comes with free will and what people start to exercise is just discernment. They start to feel into things. How do I feel about that? What do I feel about that? Rather than just blindly going, well, I've been told that's true by somebody who's in a higher position than me, who's somebody who's better than me, like a vicar or an MP or a prime minister or some kind of expert that we seem to have all over the television at the moment. All these experts are saying, you know, people are starting to discover their own free will and starting to discover their own discernment. Oh, and they're starting to use their power of feeling into like, oh, how do I actually feel about this? What's my take on this? Am I entitled to opinion? Yeah, I'm entitled to an opinion on this. What's my opinion? How do I choose to see this situation? How do I choose to see what's being spoken about in that church? And I feel like more and more people are getting to the point where discernment, rather than just blindly following, I remember absolutely, and I think about this regularly, chanting, because this was what it was written down for us to say. I believe, and this is what it was written down, so I had to say it in church. I believe in one holy Catholic and apostolic church. I had to say that because it was written down.
Yeah,
So I was told what to say. And I used to just say it. And now I'm like, but I don't, personally. Personally, I don't. I don't believe that. I believe that, personally, I believe the church is, as Jesus would call it, the temple is your body. Treat it as such. And, you know, if you want to meet God in its house, where would you meet it? Within. Then you don't have to go very far. You don't have to go very far. You don't have to go to church to meet God. You don't have to go to the synagogue, the mosque, the temple. Even if you did, you'd only discover it inside yourself anyway. Yeah, I feel like this discernment's changing everything anyway. And I feel like more and more people are acting in more discerning ways. So I'm quite interested to watch the evolution of religion. I don't think it'll entirely disappear, not for a while.
I think Sid
I
said
think it'll evolve.
eventually he thinks it probably will. As levels of consciousness go up, we won't need structure.
True.
And I remember Linda Pettit told a beautiful story of, she was on Salt Spring Island with Sid, and they were walking along and there was a poster on the wall about a religion. And she was very, very Catholic at the time. Like, she'd been brought up Catholic and she'd married somebody that, I think a priest, ex-priest. Like he actually left the priesthood before he met her. And then Sid had just looked at her and he smiled and he just said, all forms must die, dear, but truth never changes.
Hmm.
And I think I think when he first had his experience, he thought it was going to change the world overnight because of the power of what he'd seen. But then he realised we weren't ready to hear that message, so he had to like try and meet us where we're at. So whenever he taught, he'd often say, "Meet people where they're at," and then other times he'd say, "Speak to the highest you've seen." So he kind of knew that given where people are in consciousness, there'll be a message that they will relate to. And as they shift, different messages that, like a message that used to really fit for them and really resonate, suddenly doesn't resonate anymore because they've shifted. But I really like that story that Linda told, like, well, all forms must die. And anything in this world of form is a creation. So that does include religion.
Mm.
But the truth is always there.
Is eternal.
Yeah. I really like that. I thought it might be. I thought because my sister she doesn't phone over and over again as much.
She does.
Not as much anymore as she used to. So then, because she hasn't done it for quite a long time, and I knew that my niece was on a date tonight and my sister was working, so I was like, just want to check that everything's okay on this date. But it's fine.
What was it?
She wanted me to send her some pictures
She says shit.
for a collage.
She's naughty, your sister.
I was like, you did it 3 times.
Anybody else want to say anything?
It's a really tricky subject for me, this. Like, I really feel like that I want to say something, but then I don't, because I like this is just so out of my realm, if you wish. Like religion, I just don't, it's not like, I can't describe how far down on my agenda and interest it is. I don't want to sound like that's like being like a negative Nancy, but I see like, I don't know. I just see the three principles completely at the opposite end of, if there was a spectrum of religion to three principles, like it's just completely at other end of the scale for me. And I think it's because, to me, from what I've like, I'm absolutely not going to go into any sort of spout because there's two things in the world that I never talk about, and it's religion and politics. They're the things that are just off my list because I don't know enough about it to make an informed opinion. But if the opinion that I do have isn't good, so the only thing that I'm going to say is I feel like the the three principles to me is just completely and utterly about being yourself and appreciating what you're capable of doing. Whereas the religious aspect to me, that doesn't fit that doesn't fill me with the same admiration for the world, I think. Do you know what? I know it sounds silly, right? But it might not sound silly, but I feel like the three principles I look at as a religion because of the way that I look at it. It's the thing that I always go back to if I feel shit. So that's the way that I look at it. But from past experience, I find it I find it interesting to see how people can um, relate to religion with it. But it's also very interesting to me that I don't see it like that.
Mm.
Like I see it as a different. I don't know. It's like a different thing to me. But I can relate to it in that way. It's quite strange. Um, yeah. Don't know. That's my take on it.
I like that one. It's like, but people do think that the three principles is a religion. Like, it's really difficult for people to kind of hear something like this kind of conversation without kind of putting it into a box of something that this is what our egos love to do. This is what the intellect loves to do. It likes to create tidy order out of fucking infinity and put it into little boxes so people go, oh, Spiritual conversation, religion. Are you in a cult? How times I've been told I'm in a cult. I'm like, there is no cult. This isn't a cult. It's discovering what life is. Yeah, but it's a cult. All right, okay. All right, mate. That's fine. That's fine. It's a cult then. But it's interesting. It's like, God must have preceded the religion. God must have existed before religion came along and said, oh, worship God. I'm not talking about the jealous God or anything like that. I'm talking about the fundamental force that actually creates, because anything that is jealous is not of love. Jealousy is not of love. Jealousy is of fear. Jealousy is of duality. Jealousy is of everything that isn't singularity love. It's something that's so lost in the illusion. So that isn't God. And oh, fuck all that I was saying. I'm quite tired. Very tired tonight. Oh yeah. But there is this force that exists that creates human beings. Because, like I always say every week, pretty much, the human being did not invent the human being. Just like the tree didn't invent the tree. Or the planet didn't invent the planet. Or the sun didn't invent the sun. Or the sun didn't inform this chlorophyll cell that it existed.
I think also most things that are created have been created out of misunderstanding and trying to make sense of the world or everything around us.
More often than not from the illusion.
Yeah, so it's like we create a worldview to try and make sense. So I think so many of these things have been created out of us just trying to like make sense of completely something that can't be made sense of.
Yeah, using the only logical platform and narrative that we had at the time.
Yeah, because there's lots of like beautiful stuff around. Is it like the pagans, and like they had such a respect for like the times of the year and the body cycles and just all of it. But like there actually was a lot of knowledge, but that's
astrological cycles.
Yeah, like all of it. Like so, it's just trying to make sense and yeah, and I do think there has been a lot of corruption that's happened in our world, in the world of form, across the board. But I think if we just meet people and without the labels, there's people inside the church, outside the church, whatever that saying, as you said. And I think that's the nice thing. Like otherwise, we treat like those people and then these people. Right. And I think, I don't know. I think the principles is about you just see people. And we're all at different stages of lostness. And then some of us feel like we get to wake up a bit, but like that's only the beginning.
In every moment.
Yeah.
Different stages of lostness. Yeah.
So I think it's I think anything that ends up creating like a duality in your mind or a them and us is just going to be ego. And I think that's for me, the principles really started to help me see we're all the same. We show up as these different characters and we take on different roles, and there's certain belief systems that we don't see, so we just think it's the truth, and you see the innocence in it all. And I think it's, if we can just see that, then well, I think for you, like you're like, politicians are people too, like the principles is true of them. But it's like one of the things I think we've spoken about loads on community group is, can I find that space of love and compassion for people who see the world completely differently to me? Can I find that space for people that do things that I think are so wrong or so awful? Can I still find a place of love and compassion for them? Because otherwise, if I'm angry and vengeful or hateful, I'm adding to all the things I don't like in the world. Like
that and
being judgmental. But yeah, and then I live in that experience, and then that's what I'm bringing forth, because that's all I can bring forth.
That's the sum total of your life in that moment.
Yeah. And like I love it with Luce because she doesn't know anything about religion or non-religion or anything. She just meets people. Some people she really likes, some people she doesn't still, but she just meets people as people. We're a bit at soft play today. You call her the trap trapdoor spider, don't you? Or trap.
Go on, what's the name?
Well, they have these giant like fitness balls, and then it's all in like this soft play area, so you can like push balls towards each other. And like for her, they're like coming up to like here. So then she starts trying to hoard them. I'm like, Lois, I've got one, you've got one. If any other children want them, we have to share. They're not ours. But she's literally trying to like hoard them, but off of like a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old boy. And then I heard them coming back round again because these other kids were like doing loops and like taking their balls with them. He's like, oh no, I don't want to go through there again. She's still in there. And I'm like, she's 3. Like, just say, get off my ball, like leave my ball alone. But she's literally doesn't care how old it is. She's like trying to grab these giant balls off these boys as they ran past. And she goes, you're not allowed them. I'm like, Liz, they are allowed them.
Little girl.
But I think for me, it's amazing to be around that energy because I was so shy and I would not think I was worthy of having one of the balls. I'd just like given them away immediately. So seeing that she has got this like real feist in her,
Like
it's
worthy of every ball.
but that's the balance she's going to have to find because actually
Yeah.
other kids won't want to play with her.
She doesn't give a shit, does she?
No.
When we were up in Scotland one time, we're on this beach and she was naked, little tiny naked little blonde thing with her armbands on. And I mean she's tiddly, isn't she? She's just this scrawny little thing and like she's like you pick her up like that. And there was this kid who was having a hard time, wasn't there? And he wanted an ice cream, and this kid couldn't have an ice cream. He was like 10, 11, something like that. And he started going mad in the sea. He was like screaming, and everybody on the beach was looking. So after a little while, after he hadn't calmed down, I said, "Hey, are you any good at skimming stones?" He didn't like that. He wasn't remotely interested in skimming stones, and he started splashing me. Next thing, little Lucia runs into the sea and she puts her hand against me like that, pushes me back like, I've got this, daddy. And she's like, don't do that to my daddy. Like this tiny little naked blonde thing pushing me out the way so she could defend me. Oh, bless her little heart. She's ace. Little girl. But no. The ocean comes before the wave. And I think that's always something worth keeping in mind. It doesn't mean the wave can't tell the truth. It's made of the truth. But I feel like if we can all start to, rather than, and even in this conversation, though, even Jenny and I talking or anybody else talking, feel into it yourself. Don't believe us.
We don't even
Believe ourselves. No.
well, no, but also we don't even always see eye to eye on things,
No.
and it's just, and then we share very differently, and we've had our own experiences, and but it's so it's not like someone was saying
The gospel according to Jenny, the gospel according to
our
Dave.
friend Linda Ramus just said, when Sid's died now, and it will be, there's the gospel according to George, the gospel according to Keith, all of the early teachers, like we can't seem to help but make a lot of form out of it. But when Sid was alive, as soon as there's too much form, we were like, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. But he's not here to kind of parent everyone anymore, and we're just doing our thing with it. But I think that's been I've really enjoyed staying in the conversation, meeting people, and I think I mentioned like last week I went and spoke to the rabbis in London, and I used to be a big part of that because a lot of the early work with the principals was at the Tikkun Centre because it went into the Jewish community in a massive way. So they were always getting teachers over from America. So a lot of the filming I did, a lot of the workshops I did, and the training I did was in Finchley Road. And to be back there and just be welcomed in the way that I was, and the level of question and the love and the open-heartedness and the laugh that I ended up having with this group of, I think, about 15 rabbis or people trained to be rabbis, and just being grateful for I don't know, the being able to create a form out of it because that's what we do to share, and then you can drop everything and then let something else come in, and the freshness and the newness. And I think I saw that Charles, who asked me to speak, I could see that I've not really seen him much in the last 10 years, but there's been movement and shift in how he sees life, and there's more clarity, and I think that's the nice thing, is like we are using form to try and point to something that there is no form for. So it's always going to be an after the fact. And Sid said he knew that when his books, his lectures, his whatever he did was always going to be an echo of the truth. He couldn't speak truth, actual truth. It'd always be an echo. And that's going to be different for different people. And like maybe the echo for some people is sort of closer to the truth, and other people is like the rock was further away, and it's kind of, but it's still never going to be it. No.
And the reason is because it's taken form. At the moment it's taken form, it looks like a thing. Because
Baby munch on Wednesday.
and really what we're doing is we're unthinging life. It's really about tonight, everyone. And we're unthinging life. We're unthinging ourselves. We're unthinging each other. We're unthinging God. We're unthinging life. We're unthinging our feelings. We're unthinging our thoughts.
Gone. I think she would have come and found us by now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's the unthinging of everything. You call it an unlearning.
Yeah, it's weird though. I always say to you, I don't know if that's just what came to me someday or whether I've heard somebody else say it. It's just, it made sense at some point that this really is about letting go of everything you think, well, everything you think you know kind of starts to fall away, and you're left with what's left, which
You start to question, don't you?
it's like there's less, but then actually there's more.
And more often than not, what you think is what the invisible kind of thinking or form that you've kind of lived out of starts to become visible, and you start to go, oh shit, I think like that. And more often than not, it's because you feel a certain way. You go, oh, fucking hell, I feel got a little bit of hostility here. Why have I got this hostility with this person? That's interesting. And you start because you become aware, and this is where it does become kind of useful. You know, when you start to realize your feeling and thought are one, you know, you have an opportunity to catch yourself and wake up and unthing that situation, or notice that you have some kind of prejudice towards something, or you have an idea or a belief against something, or you have an opportunity to see your own ego. And it's only when you can see something, when you become aware of something, do you have option. Buddha only spoke of awareness. Well, he said it's all about awareness. When you become aware, when you notice. All Buddha's conversations were about awareness. That word must have been used countless times. Not trying to add something to make ourselves better. Which, going back to earlier on in the conversation with my friend who said, I know more than the CBT trainer, but this individual really struggles in life. You know, it's like, but maybe the CBT trainer has greater awareness that you could learn about. Get humble. Don't be so arrogant. I had to say that to them. You know, what you think you know is the shit that gets you in trouble. It's the shit that causes our suffering. It's not what you don't know. What you don't know can't cause you any suffering because you don't know it to cause you suffering.
Oh.
Well,
Just thinking certain physical things like not knowing how to fix your car. It's helpful. So
Yeah.
those kind of things.
but that can't cause your experience.
No, but there's certain things you don't know that, like if you don't know about mushrooms, you might poison yourself. Certain things like that help. There's certain knowledge can be really, really helpful.
Knowledge can be helpful.
So actually, in this world of form, knowledge is helpful.
But the only thing we ever suffer is what we think is true.
Yeah. But just I think otherwise, if it's taken out of context,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like-
yeah.
But knowledge is a very powerful thing. Like
Yeah.
we were saying, I'm really glad the person that did my C-section hadn't just gone, oh, I want to be a doctor. I'm going to perform surgeries. Like
Yeah.
he has knowledge on how to do it. So it could have got, if he didn't have knowledge.
Oh, we
around-
know to drive on the left-hand side of the
Yeah,
road.
this is like this. It's like it is and it isn't.
But yeah,
But talking from both worlds, I think, is helpful.
yeah, true. But the only thing we ever do suffer is what we think is real.
Yeah.
What we think is truth. Or maybe. The only thing we ever suffer, and I said this a few weeks ago, the only thing mankind has ever feared, ever in their entire existence, there is only ever one thing that mankind has ever feared. It's the same thing. In spite of all the years we've been here and all the goings on that we've encountered and experienced, there's only ever been one thing that mankind has ever feared, and that's their own thoughts. It's a big sweeping statement, but if you look at it closely, you'll see you can't experience fear without a thought. So therefore, the only thing we've ever feared throughout the whole of existence has been a thought. We've been afraid of our own mind conjurings. That's a big thing for man to kind of wake up to, because that's the only thing that keeps us apart from, for want of better words, from love, unity, thriving together, coming together, working together, sharing, cooperating. The no mycology, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Don't go picking mushrooms, anyone. Unless they're small and have little nipples on top.
You can still get that very wrong.
Yeah.
You can still get that very wrong. There's some that look very similar.
I don't think there is.
Looking.
I don't think there is. Has your dad got a magic mushroom book?
Don't say it 3 times.
Which one? Oh yeah, true. Sorry.
Dan told us.
Thanks, Dan. Right, anybody else got anything they want to share? Any questions, reflections, observations? Anything else?
Do you think trauma can be held in the body? It's a weird thing. I mean, it's totally obviously nothing to do with what we spoke about tonight. But, I've been having this IDD treatment for my back and my neck. Yeah, well, it's all finished now. And it hasn't been successful as I wanted it to be, but the osteopath reckoned that he sort of knows basically what's gone on in my past and stuff. And he was just saying, well, you're probably holding a lot of trauma in your body. I'm thinking, am I? You know, it's something that I never even thought about. And I'm just thinking, what do you think about that? People saying you're holding trauma. Surely that's something to do with the past, and the past isn't real. But he's suggesting it is real. So I'm just wondering what you think.
Cool. Thanks, Ange.
Thank you.
Cool question.
Well, the past isn't real, but I feel like trauma is held.
Yeah.
You can hold trauma in thought, and thought isn't separate from the body. Thought isn't brain, but I don't really know what thought is. I've been to see people who do like body stress release, and they say, oh, you might have a emotional response or a reaction to this. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm not like that. That wouldn't happen to me. And then like the next day I've literally had like on my knees, like guttural crying and being like, and then it seems to have shifted and released something from my body. So I don't understand it. I don't know, but I'm aware that the past cannot hurt us now, but thought can creates everything. And that includes this physical form, and it's not separate from it. And it's not necessarily conscious, and it's definitely not cognitive. So I've been really open to try. If I've had a back problem that the osteopath hasn't just been able to like click back into place, I've been really interested to see other people like, can I help it through stretching? Can I help it through breath work? Like healing, like all those kind of things. I don't really understand it, but if there's tension in the body, it's coming from thought. Because like you often, a dead body doesn't experience tension. So it's got to be mind, thought, and consciousness that create everything. So if I've got discomfort in the body and it doesn't seem to be shifting, then I'm open to trying different things that might help it that I don't begin to necessarily understand. But I know it's a very big thing at the moment. And I know that some people who have felt they've come to the principles and they haven't had the relief they were looking for have then gone and done like body work and those kind of things, and it seems to have given the shift they were looking for, and then understanding the principles has then taken on a new meaning for them. So I think it's within you, and when you get quiet, it's like, what's right for you? Is that something you want to explore? Is it something that doesn't make any sense to you? Like, I think there isn't a right and wrong answer of it.
No, I'm with you.
But I just feel like it's so much we don't understand.
Yeah.
Like the power of healing, but we think about the body and the mind as two separate things. And I feel like Sid brought them back together. But it's still like we're scratching the surface of what's possible.
Yeah, like you say, trauma is based in time. Time is an illusion. So on one hand, it is based in the illusion, but on the other hand, it shows up in this physical dimension. But so does illusion. So it's like, this is my mind. This is how I see it. You can't separate trauma from thought because trauma is memory. It's a memory. Something is remembering. Like you always get amazed, I've got, I don't know if you can see that scar on my finger there. It's got a bit faded now, but cut it on a wood chipper blade. Like if my cells are constantly reproducing, why do they reproduce that trauma scar? Why don't they heal in undamaged skin state? Why do they heal, continuously replenish themselves in scar tissue? Why? Why did that? Because somehow they're remembering what happened. They're remembering to do that. They changed. Everything is, cells, epigenetics have shown that cells get their information the DNA isn't the programming of the cell, but that every single cell has the capacity to kind of be anything. That's what epigenetics shows. And the person, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who discovered this and started to talk about epigenetics, said that cells do not get their information from DNA. That's a genetic print. But the genetics don't always show up as kind of what's suggested in the DNA. So if you have a disposition, so a family disposition to something like cancer, just because you have a family disposition to something like cancer doesn't mean you're going to get cancer. The genes are turned on and they're turned off. He said, but what is it that turns them on and off? And he did an experiment, and they took a cell. Well, he was one of the original stem cell researchers. He took a cell out of the stem, put it in a petri dish, and they left it alone to observe it, and it lived. It took in oxygen, it excreted carbon dioxide, it shied away from toxins, and it took in nutrients. And he said it lived for a couple of weeks. This one cell, all on its own, lived. He said, and then at some point it divided. It divided itself, and then they had two, and that's a clone. Because the one cell divides into two. It has exactly the same genetic makeup within the cell. It has exactly the same DNA and RNA within the nucleus of the cell. So they were fascinated. Wow, not only did this cell live, but it also divided as it would in the body. That's how we replace ourselves. That's how we grow. And so what they did was for some reason, they did an experiment. They took one cell over there and one cell over there. They changed the environment, and one of the cells changed to flesh and one of them changed to bone. And they're going, how can that happen? Because they have exactly the same DNA and RNA. So technically, according to that time of science, it was already determined within the cell well, this is a skin cell, or this is a hair cell, or this is a bone cell, or this is a muscle cell. Okay, so it was already predetermined because of genes and genetics and DNA. But they took these two clones cells, one in one place, one in another, one changed to flesh, one changed to bone. So they did another experiment. They took it out. They took another cell out, left it till it divided, and they took out the nucleus of the cells, which they thought was the brain of the cell. And when they took that out, what they first noticed was, the cells still live without the nucleus, without the DNA and the RNA. The cell continued to live. They took in oxygen, they excreted carbon dioxide, they shied away from toxins, they took in nutrients, both of them. They live, they continue to act like an organism, which they are. And then they took did the same experiment, took one into one place, put another one in another. One changed to flesh, one changed to bone. And they're going, how can they do that? They don't have the brain to do that. They don't have the information already within them to do that. And that's when Bruce Lipton had a spiritual awakening, when he realized, oh no, there is a greater force than the genetics at play here. There is information in what he called the what did he call it? The ether, for want of a better word, around us all. I wouldn't necessarily say just around us, I'd say inside us as well. So I'd say inside the cell is information, but the information's not solid. Information is spiritual. Information is energy. Information is light. So with that in mind, like every single cell, if it's true, and it looks very, very true according to the science of epigenetics, if that is true, then any cell can be anything. But it seems like there is this coordination within this human, or within any living organism, that coordinates the cells into creating the body that we recognize as ourself, or the dog, or the cat, or the flower, the fish, the insect, the spider. There's a coordination of the cells so that the eye is only produced of cells that produce eye cells. But what he's saying is the information isn't within the DNA, it's within the ether. The only thing the cell that had its DNA and RNA removed couldn't do was it couldn't divide anymore. It couldn't clone itself. It stopped. That stopped at that point. There was no expansion, there's no growth that takes place once the cell died. It's gone. That's it, it's done. So with that in mind, which I think is a really, really interesting thing personally, with that in mind, it's like, yeah, cells and the body are responding to thought, which would suggest that trauma being a memory has to be a memory because it's something that's taken place. Trauma is a memory, is remembered perhaps not necessarily in the brain or even in the heart. But what if the whole body is a memory or a thinking thing? What if the whole body is a thinking thing? I think if we were to look at that, we would start to see the body or life itself or physicality or nature as in a more holistic way. When we realize that every single cell is capable of thought to whatever degree is required of it. Because at the moment we tend to think of thought as the brain. Some people are starting to expand now into the heart. But what if it's the whole body? We've had quite an interesting noticing through doing our work, and we've noticed how some people come to us with some kind of weird stomach ailment. They seem to have this, like they have stomach ailments. They often have a kind of disempowered experience of relationships with their parents, don't they? It's one thing we've noticed. Like if somebody comes complaining of stomach issues, we'll often have a conversation with them about the parents and find out what's going on with the parents. And more often than not, you find out that the dad's a bit controlling and he's always trying to tell them how to live, or they've been disempowered by the parents somehow, or they have this kind of bond that overparented, or they've depended upon the parents so much. It's interesting. It's just an observation. It probably won't stand up in a court of law, but it's just an observation. So yeah, why not? Why? But we have heard people say, oh, it is the body that's doing it. But no, you can't experience trauma without thought, because you cannot experience memory without thought. Somebody who used to share the principles and suddenly gone off his own spiritual journey has said, oh no, thought is 20%, the rest is the body. But that makes zero sense. Because how could you have trauma without memory? There is something remembering. And how could you have memory without thought? Thought is 100%, not 20%, 100%. It's just we're having to expand our understanding of the power of thought and what thought is. That's what we're doing. We're having to expand it. And the more we kind of study the power of thought, when we're talking about, when I say an infinite force, I'm talking about this is part of the infinite force of thought. That there is something living this body. There is something living every single cell. It's energy. Energy can transform in a moment. We know fine well that stress can kill a human being. We know that. Most people know that. Not very many people actually know what stress is created from, though. They don't realize, well, stress isn't created by circumstance, it's created by thought. How you perceive something. It's how you're perceiving it in the moment. So if stress has the power to, or thought has the power to make you very, 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 very ill or stop your heart, give you a heart attack, then surely it would make sense that thought also has the power to heal your body. So now we've kind of gone from, if that has to make sense. So now we've kind of gone from kind of science, yes, okay, yes, stress makes you ill. We know that cancers and things have more opportunity to kind of thrive in those kind of bodies, stressed bodies, or
stress depletes vitamin C in the body.
Yeah, well,
vitamin C is vital for many things. So
yeah,
like thought does. We can see it if you have. Like I had a horrible dream last night, and it woke me up, and my heart was pounding. I was just like, it took me a little while to calm back down again before I went back to sleep. Like your body reacts to thought. Like I know if I've suddenly got bad news, like I'll get it in my stomach, or if I get nervous, I feel it in my stomach, and all those things. Like we can see that they're not separate. And just because the thoughts pass doesn't mean that your body's not still got the chemicals, whatever's going on,
no,
depleted because of
they
it.
become formed, so they're born, and therefore they have a finite existence before they die again.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we can go from the logic science, the science would suggest that stress makes us ill, but science is reluctant to say that you also have the capacity to heal yourself. Using exactly the same force that creates your illness. No, it doesn't want to say that. That's not worth billions of dollars, is it? Excuse me for being cynical. The placebo is the most effective drug on the planet. Like, it will be in this bloody place somewhere. Joe Dispenza. Where is it?
Placebo.
You are the placebo. Can you see
Right.
it? There you go. Like Joe Dispenza said, you are the placebo.
I've got that book.
You've got it?
Yeah,
Have you read it?
I have. I don't know. I just find it. You can put what you're saying into action, but then I'm just like, no. It's going to take too long to put right. Do you know what I mean? Then I just give up. And you do think it is more difficult to believe that your mind or your thoughts can heal you. I believe, well, I used to believe more that it would stress me out or make me ill the way I was thinking, and not so much now. But it's very difficult, and I want to believe that my thoughts can heal me with the pain that I get and with my tummy and one thing. But what you've just said there, it's all making so much sense. The stories you've just told us there. Yeah, very, very interesting what you were saying there. There's things ringing in my head.
Cool.
I'm going to play this back when it's on record. When you've got on YouTube.
Get it up on YouTube quickly then.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Not take a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, sorry about our laxness. It's been full on, hasn't it?
It has been.
Done.
I'm just gonna say there was something that, Mum, that you've just said that if I'd said that to you, you'd be furious with me. I
What was
can't
it?
remember. I
What
can't
was it?
remember. It was something about the body healing itself, the mind healing the body. It was something like that, but that's all you've ever told me.
I know, but I can do it for you. But to bring it into my own mind it's a different thing.
I know it is, but you'd be fuming if I'd said that to you.
Thing is, people have, and it's well documented, people have spontaneous healings from all kinds of things. And trauma's fear. Fear's duality. It's based in duality. Me, I'm afraid of that. Me, one, that, two. You know, it's not in alignment with the truth of the fact that you are creating all experience. Singular. And I feel like when people start to have a higher awareness of that point, they start to experience less ailments in their everyday life. They're just generally healthier people. That's one of the things I notice in people. They become healthier. I don't know why.
Then it's interesting that, like, we've spoken about Wendy. I can never say this. I don't know how to pronounce it, but a lady that spoke at one of the conferences that had stage 4 cancer. She lived for way longer than they thought she would. I think she did all alternative stuff. I think she tried traditional stuff. She tried mind stuff. But it was the principles that gave her peace of mind with what was. And it made her very present with her boys. It made her very present with life. And don't know, she saw that she wasn't getting life wrong because she had stage 4 cancer and that death wasn't a negative in the way that we think it was. So she was just an amazing lady, that the learning and the depth of her teaching through that experience, and she passed away a few years ago now. But there was no judgment, like, oh, I needed to think differently or see something, or she came to such peace. And I think we don't really know what death is.
No, don't really know what life is.
Like Sydney Banks obviously had the experience he'd had, and then he died of cancer. And some people were really, really judgmental about that. But I think his body had been put under like an awful lot of stress in his life. I don't know what his diet was like. But growing up, he had a lot of stress, a lot of tension, a lot of upset until he was 43 years old. And he had that huge experience, but then he still had this body that had lived 43 years before, and I don't know. And I think that's why, in some ways, in the early days when the principles was kind of being shared in the UK, they were very reluctant to start talking about the body, just because it's such an emotive subject, and people would start thinking, oh, if I understand the principles enough and if I see it enough, then I'll rid myself of this illness. And if my illness hasn't gone, then it means I haven't understood enough. And they started making it a very personal thing,
and an intellectual thing.
An ego thing. And I think the thing that does the healing is not the ego. It's beyond the ego. And I think it's probably like more of that state of meditation, of not locking into any of it, that your body is more relaxed and it's more able and capable of healing. But we don't understand it enough.
No. Totally with you.
And like, I know recently, I think it's within the last couple of years, there's somebody quite well known, like nutritionist and like mindfulness person in Australia, died of cancer. And people are like, well, how come she couldn't heal herself? She'd help so many people. But again, we don't know what it is, and we don't know what we don't know. Do you know what I mean? So much of our
kind of create
so much of our world is totally invisible to us. What we view life through, the filters that we see through, are so invisible to us. The thinking that we live out of is so invisible to us. I think what I've loved seeing is that there's been so many people come forward in the principles who have had different health things. Like, there's a lady at the conference last year who was supposed to be here Viva this year, but then she passed away. But she was in phenomenal, like, everyone was just sat in tears listening to her speak, because she was like, I've got cancer, but I'm still having an awesome life. And she lived that way until the end. And I don't know, I don't know. I think that's the thing we come back to. I don't know.
Quite often these things, like when we did the retreat in Grasmere, I think Col Cath, you think you were there. And
you guys didn't make you guys never made it to Grasmere.
Oh no, you didn't make it to Grasmere, did you? No, it was
that was before. I think it's before we met you guys who did Grasmere.
Do you mean the most recent one at Coniston?
No, Grasmere.
Yeah, we cancelled for Colin Shingles, didn't we?
I know that was Coniston. No, this was Grasmere, and we had Mary there, whose daughter.
Oh, that was like That was 2017.
All right, yeah. Oh, sorry. But this lady, she came and her daughter had just died of cancer, and she was in her 30s, was she?
I think when she was at the retreat, she was alive and living her best life
That's right.
with cancer, and then she came to our event with Dickon and Kendall, and that's when she'd passed.
And that's right. But I remember Mary saying, like, she was saying, my daughter has lived more in this last few months than she ever has in her entire life, and more than I ever have in my life. She said, in some ways, she said, it's a gift. And you don't expect to hear those words come out of a mother's mouth. It was such a powerful thing she was saying. She was saying it's been a gift. She said, because we have as a family, we've started to take notice of how we're living. We've started to take notice of we're not doing the things we truly want to do in our lives. She said, but my daughter, she's got this bucket list and she's ticking them off one after another, wasn't she? She said she's doing everything she ever wanted to do in her life. She's getting it done. And she said she probably wouldn't have done had she not had cancer and been diagnosed with what thing. Catherine.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was going through my cancer, I noticed that 3 principles definitely made a difference for me, without a doubt, because instead of thinking forward and worrying forward, which you think you're automatically going to be doing, you do a little bit of that, but I don't think you can help that. But I did find that by me keep asking myself, how am I now? How am I today? And I'm all right now. So I kept going back to how am I now? How do I feel now? Am I in pain? Am I worrying about things? And I just kept myself present. And that was a massive difference. Massive.
Can you explain why there was a difference?
Because it took away a lot of the worry. Instead of like, what if, it was, I'm okay now. So I just focused on how I was that minute, or that, well, not even that day, that 5 minutes or that hour. So I didn't even think as far ahead as what am I like in 3 hours' time. It's what am I like now? How am I now? And I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. Or that's how I got through it. So it made a big difference. I feel it did anyway.
Yeah, you used common sense and logic, and you reduced your own stress. And
Yeah.
if you're reducing your own stress levels, then that must be conducive with healing, or more conducive with healing the body, rather than creating more stress, which creates more illness. Like you say, it reduces your vitamin D and all vitamin C and all the essential things and minerals and stuff in the body. So yeah, no, that's really interesting, that, Kath. I think that's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful thing for anybody to kind of become aware of at any point in their life.
I think it doesn't matter whether you're ill or whatever it is, you can be going through all kinds of different trauma and you can apply it exactly the same. If you know some things, I don't know, something's coming up or something that you're worrying about, if you know that you're all right there and then, it stops you thinking about what ifs all the time. So I tend to just use it for, well, it's just me. I just feel it's just me now. I often ask myself, how am I now? And I'm fine. And my friends all say I'm one of the most chilled people they know, because
I'd agree.
Pardon?
I'd agree.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I was just like, what's the point of worrying? There isn't any. What am I like now? I'm fine. So that's it. That's how I just think of life. It's just become my life.
It's more present.
Yeah. Yeah.
More present with what is. Yeah. You can't suffer if you're present. You can't suffer in that. I say you can't suffer. What I mean by that is there's no worry. There's no anxiety. There's no fear. Fear is always based in the future, which is always based in thought. The only place it's based
But
in imagination.
I do occasionally, so such as like if I might have said something, and said, "Oh gosh, whatever," and Colin will pull me up. He'll pull me back to present, and sometimes I'll pull myself back to present because I'll catch me out, and it's just that noticing your thoughts, like you said. If you start going down that path of worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow or whatever, then just pull yourself back, notice that you're worrying and thinking, well, what is the point? So I'm not saying that I don't worry, but I notice when I worry, and that
Yeah.
stops worrying.
Back to Buddha again, awareness.
Yeah.
You become aware. You notice. I like that. It's a mad old game, this life, everyone. It's a mad old game. It really, really is. And I feel like there's very little you can hang your hat on. But that's why this message is important. Because you can hang your hat on it. Your experience of life is coming from within you. Nothing outside of you determines how you think. You are free to look at anything from an infinite amount of ways, or meet somebody and meet an infinite people within yourself in one person. You meet one person, you can see them in an infinite amount of ways. Everything you see, you could see from an infinite different amount of different opinions on it, different points of view on it. But all of them are coming from in you. Even if somebody gives you their opinion and you adopt it, that adoption came from within you. You adopted it. You adopted that belief. You took it on. You made it yours from inside of you. You can hang your hat on that. Therefore, anything you are fearing is coming from you, and the only thing you're ever actually fearing is what you're thinking. You can hang your hat on that. How could you possibly experience fear without, first of all, noticing the appearance of something scary? But that noticing the appearance of something scary has to go for, look at a spider. How many hands up? Who likes spiders? Who doesn't like spiders? All right, so pretty evenly split. Do you even have spiders on Greenland, Louise? That's a stupid question.
We have a lot of them.
Yeah, oh, it was a stupid question. Right, cool. Get the hunters out.
But not dangerous ones.
No, I can't imagine much being. No, you got polar bears and stuff, haven't you?
It's like where I live, it's about like in Oslo, in Norway. So it's pretty
Right.
south. Yeah, in Greenland. Yeah.
Nice. Pretty bloody north as well. But yeah, you see, you can look at a spider, and I saw a couple of hands go up who love spiders. I love spiders. And then there's a few hands went up who don't like spiders. In fact, it was pretty even amounts, to be honest, who don't like spiders. So we could all look at it, and so it can't be coming from the spider. It has to be our perception, and you can change your perception on a spider in any moment. We do know people who. I used to be a bit freaked out by spiders. Probably some.
I got freaked out by one the other day. I didn't hurt it, but I was a bit freaked out because it's massive in the side passage.
Some of them, look pretty hard as nails and stuff,
which does seem ridiculous given our size and them.
Yeah, but you can change your experience of it, or your experience does change of it, should I say? And it's coming from you. You can't change it with this. You can rationalize it with this, certainly. but the change comes from inside. Before that, that's creation. Too late. That's what you think you already know. You know, and knowing that your experience is coming from you is something you really can hang your hat on. It's something you can look at over and over again and try and find something what does create my experience that's outside of me, that's outside of the now. You can go looking for it and you can ask those questions and you can really explore that. And more often than not, you'll give up pretty sharpish because you're going, no, there just isn't anything. You can hang your hat on that. What a gift. What date's the retreat?
Text them to you
I know you did, but I
so
couldn't
you
follow the
know
door.
them. The 6th to the 10th of February.
How many spaces is there now?
Oh, so 2 couples have had to drop out. So there's 1 female space in a shared room, and there's 2 double rooms, king rooms, which can be made into twin rooms. So 5.
Space for 5.
So 9.
Hey?
We've got 9.
Nice.
So, but I had said probably only 12. Like I'd said 12 to keep it intimate, but there is room if people want to do.
Does that include us? Have we got room?
Yeah, we've got room.
Cool. That's most important. Is it the best room?
No.
Oh.
I'm giving the best rooms to other people.
Okay, that's fair. Generous. So yeah, 9th, 5th to 9th.
5th to the 10th.
5th to the 10th of February.
6th to the 10th.
6th to
You're
the
saying the
10th of
5th of
February.
Friday the 6th until the 10th, which is a Tuesday.
I hope you've got that. Yeah, if you're interested, info@freedomthinking.co.uk. Give us a shout. Apologies to everybody who sends us emails and we don't get back to you. We don't know the hell's going on there. Probably a similar kind of thing to what's happened with our website.
WhatsApp is the best way to get. WhatsApp or Telegram is the best way, because I get those immediately. But with our website, because if I haven't got a website now, I have to go on and log into somewhere to get our emails.
Yeah, but we don't really want to put our phone numbers all over YouTube. Not really.
info@freedomthinking.co.uk. I can find them.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. Get in touch. All right. Thank you, everyone. What time is it? It's home time. You're all free to go. Well done, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. God bless.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Get
everyone.
better soon. Paul, get better
Merry
soon, Dave.
Christmas.
Cheers.
Loads of love. And thank you all for being here this year. It's been absolutely wonderful. Have we seen them before Christmas, New Year?
What's the date next Monday?
29th.
29th. Where are we?
We're here. Oh no, we're in Jackie's. So probably not next Monday,
No.
but the following Monday.
So yeah, follow him into the new year then.
Mhm.
See you next year, everyone. Happy New Year. This is us for 2025. What's 2026 going to be like? I think it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. Right, everyone. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Loads of love.
Hello.
See you soon. Rach, see you soon, love. See you next week.
Today.
See you Saturday.
This week.